Soon, warfare between Russia and the USA will include neurowarfare attacks. It will also lead to the development of emotional and intellectual perception networks, thought police, and will gradually include our society on the grounds of national security, terrorism, etc. Soon the internet will be able to perceive your emotions, and by default, so will the CIA. They will gradually implement this technology by saying it will only be used for control of terrorists and criminals. They will do this by way of a campaign of disinformation and misinformation based on lies and half-truths, effectually turning America into one gigantic neurosociety that will include a living social conscience that people will be able to engage in by sharing their thoughts with each other simultaneously in large groups over vast geographical regions. A sort of hive mind will ensue between people who collaborate on the same or similar issues. Instead of making a telephone call with your phone, you will be able to make one with your mind, hands-free of course. There are many government agencies and private institutions, Harvard, Yale, MIT, etc., who are involved in this new neuro-revolution, and it is employed against Americans domestically and against civilians from other countries abroad by way of covert intergovernment agency operation designed to diffuse responsibility if caught, meaning everything is highly compartmentalized, so even if you knew the source of the technology, you would still be running down the proverbial rabbit hole because the people involved in this paradigm operate in the dark crevices of government and are firmly entrenched in their positions of power and cannot be removed. Presidents and senators are mere puppets to these people. Even high-ranking generals don't ascend to the corridors of power without their approval. The real power in America is not without elected representatives or even our mighty military leaders. No, it lies with the upper echelon of the intelligence services, CIA, NSA, etc. While there are many agencies involved, there are primarily two that are behind it all, CIA and Department of Defense. Again, the three main purposes of mind control are censorship, memory management, and direct behavioral control. Memory management is achieved by way of injection of false memories while simultaneously blocking real memories with a falsified fabrication stream by using flashes of pulsed electromagnetic energy in sync with photonic implants or remote nanoparticulates, which then match up with the R&M supercomputer and the remote subconscious of a human mind. The R&M supercomputer hooks the targeted individual to a mainframe, and the person is then monitored to their death, which is often brutal for the purposes of mind control via what they call rehabilitation by torture. In other words, behaviorism, i.e. Pavlov's dogs, etc. This is how thought-triggered attacks occur. The supercomputer, which is capable of hundreds of thousands of calculations per second, kicks into gear as soon as the target individual begins thinking about a certain subject, etc., and the R&M computer injects those subconscious impulses at speed of light. This is why it is crucial for CIA, NSA operatives to be close by the TI or within range of remote surveillance so they can watch the target individual in real time so as to achieve verification with the R&M system. The supercomputer interfaces integration completion with the human mind and begins to inject imagery and other sequences into the human mind that the TI does not recognize, seeking to establish integration completion between the R&M system and the human mind. The human brain has been mapped. The Brain Initiative project announced by Obama months ago was just a cover for what has already been achieved, so as to facilitate its implementation into our new neuro society. Otherwise, there would be many questions such as where did this technology come from, etc. The two main protagonists are CIA and DoD, but the main arm of both in this paradigm is the futuristic strong arm of DARPA. It is DARPA that is behind it all if you go to its very core. So this BAM project, known as the Brain Activity Map, is just a cover by Obama to integrate these new neuroweapons into our mainstream society as being necessary and a boon to our high-tech civilization, when in all actuality it will be nothing more than a tool to control us and certain segments of populations of countries throughout the world. By reverse engineering the human mind, they are developing an AI regime that will be capable of making all of the important decisions for humanity by way of central planning. They will also use this technology to keep those countries that are enemies of America in internal strife, so as to control them as well. They will be able to control the population of America and the world by reconfiguring the human brain, and by default they will be able to reconfigure societies. This is a tool the world elite has long sought after, and now finally it is within their grasp. However, there are methods one can employ to fight back against this new technology. Number one, multitasking. Learn how to multitask, as multitasking causes you to think in multiple threads. When you are constantly thinking in multiple threads, multiple tasks or thoughts, then there is no coherent pattern for the perps to establish and integrate into R&M data. In other words, integration completion between the R&M system and your brain is hindered without your response to that specific impulse injection. The R&M verification process breaks apart. The CIA NSA perps are using a fabricated or falsified stream to interfere with your memory and thought process. Once you become dependent, i.e. you believe their impulse injections are your own, on the system's output, or they believe your responses to it are consistent, they will begin to fabricate subconscious responses, which they will pretend are indicators of honesty, dishonesty, positive recognition, anxiety, etc., and they will use these impulse injections to convince you that the fabricated responses are your own. If you are unaware of this constant mental manipulation, the system will begin to shape your thoughts and behavior. They will attempt to, restrict your thoughts and behavior by blocking or interfering with your memory and thought process, while these suggestions, injected impulses, are being provided. The interference is triggered and can be activated at will by the attackers. Again, you can defeat the R&M attacks by constantly multitasking, thinking about multiple things at once, and by ignoring random encounters with strangers you don't know, as such encounters are engineered by the perps in order to solicit an emotional response from you which their R&M system can remotely measure. Then you can not only see through the system's attempts to manipulate you, but also manage their ability to evaluate your responses by controlling the verification process. By working through the remote neural memory blocks and counter the system's ability to influence your choices, it will begin to feel as though you are thinking in two threads. Just learn how to multitask. Number two, spontaneity. Never follow a set pattern of conduct. Always change your behavior every day at a moment's notice. Do this when you're quickly, not slowly, on the move, as it is more difficult for the remote neural system to monitor your thoughts while you're in rapid motion. If you decide to go to the grocery store, go to the convenience store instead. Change it up every day, but don't do the same things over and over, as that establishes a set pattern of conduct. Remember, they are trying to alter your daily motives and emotional perceptives. The remote neural monitoring system is designed to provoke you emotionally so they can generate response statistics, which the system will use to determine how to interpret and link descriptions with data captured about your memory references. That is why they are constantly trying to keep you talking, or constantly stopping you and asking for directions, etc. So always ignore prolonged random encounters with people you don't know. You're not being rude, just refusing to allow them to manipulate you. Once they have consistent statistics, the system will use previous choice references and inject them into your subconscious thought during normal activity, which is also referenced to as impulse injections, to convince you that the response was your own and influence you to complete or describe the reference by making the appropriate verbalizing or performing a related action, which is known as verification. You can fight and or control this if you learn to defeat these memory attacks by learning to read active memory. Once they see what you respond to emotionally or intellectually, they will fabricate conversational or situational scenarios, street theater, based on events or topics they know will capture your attention. I'm going to see how much longer. It's a very, very long article, so I don't know if I can get through it all, because I really have to use the bathroom, guys. Yeah, I really have to use the bathroom. I think my attackers are doing this through remote neural manipulation. But just come and read this article. It goes through a lot of really good stuff on you know what the elite's plans for this neuro warfare, a neuro society, these directed energy weapons technology, what they're going to be. You know what? I'll go ahead. What I'll do, I'll go ahead and stop the video so I can use the bathroom, and then I'll come back and I'll go ahead and finish reading it because it's important information. So so give me 1 second, but I'll be right back, and it's going to be like probably a 3 or 4 parter, because I want to go ahead and finish the article.